As I don't want to waste my precious time and money on a European river cruise line that isn't top of their game, I've been diving into the latest cruise reviews and ratings by passengers to see what lines are doing well and maybe more importantly, what lines we might need to approach with more caution. Now there are 5 lines you should be wary of, and they include some of the best known names on the rivers of Europe, surprisingly. Now I was actually surprised, particularly about the first of the lines on the lowest scoring list, as I'd expected them to be rated much higher. Just missing out on the top 8, but with a strong 4 out of 5 rating in my review, is a river cruise line that their fans hold a super strong passion and loyalty to. And this is the river cruise wing of the Tauk Travel Company. This family-owned company has been running escorted tours all around the world for almost a century. They're a well-known and highly rated company, primarily amongst United States travelers. However, looking at their river cruise reviews, the high expectation travelers actually have of Tauk seems to be slightly dampening their ratings because they're not seen as quite delivering consistently against the high bar that people set for Tauk. Also, they seem to attract many people of their land-based escorted tours who are trying river cruising for the first time and actually finding it's not for them, which actually dampens the overall scores for Tauk river cruising. Now, I've not cruised Tauk, but I have visited their ships, and their fleets of 9 ships look and feel really upmarket. They carry fewer guests, by the way, than many of their luxury competitors, with their largest ship up to about 130 guests. Their real strength, which does come through in their reviews, are the excursions and port-side special access entry into iconic sites. This, of course, is the ability to draw on long-established contacts in countries through running all those escorted tours. They also seem to be a growing line for multi-generational river cruises, and Cruise Critic also recently rated them as best river line for solo travelers because they waive single supplements on the lowest grade of cabins and they reduce supplements for the higher grades on quite a number of sailings. So although they just miss out on making the top rated list of lines, maybe they are a line to consider if you're looking for smaller numbers on board, solo cruising, and you're really interested in good historic and cultural excursions. The next line is also run by a large tour company, and their river cruise operation matched the 4 out of 5 score of Tauk, but is also one that suffers from expectations that seems to be dampening their score. Riviera Travel, which launched over 40 years ago, claims to be the UK's leading river cruise and tour operator, offering good value escorted tours and river cruises. They were recently rated by the UK Which magazine as the best value river cruise choice. Now, this is a magazine that assesses and ranks brands in different categories. They have 14 ships in the fleet, mostly named after British literary figures like Oscar Wilde and Jane Austen. They are adult only and cover many of the rivers ranging from the Rhine and the Danube, the Rhone, the Douro and the Moselle. The main reason I can see in the reviews where they get poor scores, pulling their overall average down, is their marketing suggests 5-star ships and talks about the Berlitz Cruise Guide saying their ships are amongst some of the finest. But people, once they get on board, find them more basic and they're not as 5-star as they expect once they're on board. This is definitely a more value offering, and the ships, the food, the service provide good value, but I think expectations are probably set too high, which dampens their scores. As I mentioned, river cruising is costly, and so even as a value line, cabins can start from $250, £200 per person a night. So people, especially new to river cruising, imagine they will get a more luxury experience based on their marketing. Guests tend to be mostly from the UK, and the line has a British bias. And with a 4 out of 5 rating, of course, they're one to consider if you're looking for a reliable value cruise line to try, but dampen your expectations. The next line also is part of a major travel group, and it's interesting that many of these lower scoring lines are actually wings of travel companies rather than standalone dedicated river cruise line companies. TUI River Cruises gets a 3.8 out of 5 rating by travelers. This is part of the enormous TUI Travel Group, a German-based leisure, travel and tourism company, and the largest of these type of companies in the world. They own hotels, airlines, travel stores, has a joint venture with Royal Caribbean running ocean cruise lines like Hapag-Lloyd, Mein Schiff and Marella. They too are a value river cruise line, covering many of the major European rivers, but with just 4 ships. Now, the main reason for their lower scores recently is the reliability and quality of ships themselves, with complaints about various aspects ranging from breakdowns, poor air conditioning, general service issues, overall quality of the ships, along with very average rating of the food and kind of logistics of the experience. Now, they've just introduced their first new build to the fleet, TUI Alma, and as they fix the problems with the other ships, of course, I think we may see their scores improve moving forwards, but they did get a so-so score now. So I think they probably want to keep an eye on and have a look at what the latest reviews and scores are before you actually consider and book them, to make sure they are upping their game. The next two on the list of lower scoring lines both suffer from the same issue, and you will see that despite having a lot going for them, they just get marked down. Arosa River Cruises has an interesting backstory. It was created 20 years ago in 2001 as a subsidiary of Princess Cruises to serve the German market, to match the German ocean line AIDA, which was also part of the group at that time. After Carnival Corporation bought the Princess Group, it was sold off to German owners. And herein lies why this line scores relatively poorly, with just 3.3 out of 5 by past recent travellers. Past English-speaking travellers, that is. I've only been looking at what travellers from countries like the US, UK, Canada and Australia are saying, and the biggest reason for their low scores is that the line doesn't seem to cater much for non-German speakers once you're on board, with people quoting challenges on everything from the crew, menus, announcements and so on. It's a pity, because this line is the most forward on catering to families, with many more interconnecting cabins than any other line from what I can see. And in school holidays, kids 15 and under travel free. They run family programs and tours in the school holidays. But unless you are German speaking or want to practice and develop your German skills, it's a line you should probably steer clear of, or certainly approach with a lot of caution. An Austrian-based line also popular with German travellers, though that does not seem to have the same German-speaking issue as the Arosa reviews, is Amadeus River Cruises, which is run by the family-owned Lufthansa Cruises. Now, this line came into service in 1997. It has a fleet of 14 ships. I could see in the reviews that the reason for its weaker 3.7 out of 5 rating by travellers seems to be driven by two things currently. First, the ships. The fleet has a wide range of ages, and while the new ships are liked, the older ships and the cabins on those get fewer good ratings, and the food often gets called out as being pretty average. One thing I could also see in the reviews is it seems there are several group charters of the ships, ranging from alumni organizations, special interest travel groups like Gay Travelers, and these cruises seem to get reviewed under the brand, and they get much more mixed reviews, these group cruises, so it pulls the overall score down, possibly unfairly. Amadeus, by the way, runs several golf-themed cruises each year, so if you're a golf player, they may be worth looking at, but overall they seem to not really stand out from the other river cruise line options much, so one to proceed with caution. Now, the next line was the worst performing of all the lines whose ratings I studied. Saga Cruises is the 50-plus travel company catering for UK travellers, offering their own luxury ocean and river cruise ships. It was really surprising that their river product gets so poorly rated, as their ocean cruises are really good and highly rated. They only got 3.2 out of 5 by recent river cruises. They have a small fleet, but with new ships, the Spirit of the Danube, Spirit of the Rhine, Spirit of the Douro, Spirit of the Marseille. They're costly, but their fares include chauffeur pickup and return transfers from home to the airport, transfers to and from the ship, and even travel insurance. Now, looking at the reviews right now, most of those poor scores seem to be driven by factors partly out of the line's control, like water levels disrupting cruises. But travellers said they weren't dealt with very well, and as their travellers tend to be older and a more cautious traveller, those things weigh heavily in their considerations and ratings. So again, probably a line to approach with some caution despite their overall good reputation. And I would keep checking the latest reviews if you are looking at them to see if things have improved before booking. Now, the plus side, by the way, if you are looking, they have a money-back guarantee if it's your first Saga river cruise and you don't enjoy it. If you let them know that you want to leave within the first 72 hours, they will give your money back. Now, if you want to know what the top rated lines right now are, those scoring 4.1 or higher out of 5, join me over in this video where I always explain why I was surprised where my favorite lines were placed and who is at number 1. I was really surprised. See you over there.